Welcome to an episode of Chad Sports Talk. You didn't know my name's Chad. Take a dive on sports. Welcome to the recap of Super Bowl 57. How well did I do? I'm just going to spoil it now. I was so eerily close on how this game went. It's almost scary. I got the score wrong, but I think I got the overall ending correct. The play-by-play and kind of give you the highlights and whatnot, and my bold predictions of what could possibly happen in the future between these two franchises. But before diving all that, if you could, go ahead and hit that thumbs up for me, especially like content provider, really places YouTube guys, really help promote this channel out. You also subscribe. A lot of you guys review my work, and I love you all for doing that. Not me if you subscribe. This costs you a dime. Helps me provide more time value for you. Now, in my previous video, I put out on the Thursday before the Super Bowl, I said that I trusted Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes more than I like Jalen Hurts and Sirianni. But I said it would be close. I said Patrick Mahomes would lead the team down for a game-winning field goal to win it 31-30. He led the team down for a game-winning field goal and it winning 38-35. Let you know how close and eerily similar this was. I mean, it came out, it was a tale of two halves. And I knew it would be a tale of two halves. I knew the Eagles come out dominating and firing all cylinders, and the Chiefs had to make second half adjustments. Jalen Hurts was doing everything he possibly could. He was killing them with his legs. He was killing them with bombs. I mean, the guy had over 300 yards in the air. He only had one mistake. One. I mean, it was a simple, he just couldn't hang on to the football. I mean, and Nick Bolton scooped and scored. I mean, that first half, the Eagles controlled the time of possession. Patrick Mahomes only had one offensive drive in that first half, and that was their first possession. And they matched the Eagles' performance in that aspect. Philadelphia, anytime they had a fourth and short yard situation, they made it. 100%. I include the penalty where, the Chiefs defensive lineman decided to put his head in the offensive line. But they made that. The Chiefs defense had a hard time stopping the short game, but it came out with great things to deal with it. Jalen Hurts set a record for most rushing touchdowns for a quarterback in Super Bowl history. He tied Terrell Davis for most for rushing touchdowns with 3. Kadarius Toney set NFL record for the longest punt return that almost went back for a touchdown. Bolton almost had another scoop and score that got called back because it wasn't a catch. I hate this catch rule the NFL implemented. You must maintain position. 2 feet on the ground, and must make a football move. Wow, that's just some. I never liked that. It just makes no sense whatsoever. At least in college, you make the catch and you have 1 foot on the ground. It made sense. But it's Monday NFL. It is what it is. And if you looked at, like I said, it's a tale of two halves. I mean, Philadelphia was up 24-14 at half. Buckner did miss a field goal. I mean, a very loud thud and doink, wherever you want to call it, when he hit the upright. And like the Eagles had a great game plan. They kept the Chiefs' offense off the field. That's all they had to do. Chiefs defense had a hard time kind of stopping them here and there, and they made a few drives where they actually stopped them. Like I said, the scoop and score was a massive one right there. And then Mahomes looked like he possibly could have got injured. You got a tackle from behind, kind of rolled the ankle a bit, and you can tell he was in pain. But having like a 30-minute halftime allows them to tape it up, give him some pain meds. But you can definitely tell he was in discomfort that second half. Nothing against Jalen Hurts. I mean, he had no issues with his shoulder whatsoever. He was throwing dimes to Devontae Smith, who had 100 yards receiving. A.J. Brown, almost 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert was just phenomenal at making clutch catches. Even with hands in his face, he was still making catches. He made an amazing catch on the sideline that I thought he may have not caught because he ended up catching it, popped up in his hands, grabbed it again. His left toe was still on the turf and his right foot hit inbound. And that was it. I mean, there were just phenomenal plays. Kelsey was just doing what we had to do, going out there with a stinky leg. Juju Smith-Schuster was another prominent receiver for Patrick Mahomes. He only had 50 yards, but he had some key plays on him. And one of the talking points out there is the penalty towards the end of the game on Bradbury. Now, there's so many out there that said they hated that call. Why the call? Or call the call? They cost the game. You're talking about people like Dan Orlovsky and Pat McAfee and Kurt Herbstreit. I mean, these guys are prominent names when it comes to football. Some of them are very prominent names when it comes to college football. And they hate the idea that the ref dictated the results of the game. And some people even call it there's a fix in. I mean, it's laughable. Because anytime that things don't go the way they like, they call it a fix. There's been so many bad calls and missed calls throughout the NFL history. They had the one a few years ago where, the Saints, blatant pass interference didn't get called, but they had a chance to win the game. There was definitely a pass interference call on Juju Smith-Schuster. That was not called. Now, did Bradbury hold? When it comes to that penalty, people are saying that there wasn't one. The ball was like overthrown. Well, one, the ball wasn't even thrown yet, so that negates pass interference. He held before the ball was thrown. So when Bradbury was on Smith-Schuster on that play in the fourth quarter, they were both going inside. Juju stopped, turned back around, was going to go back outside. Bradbury saw he was out of place, pulled on the jersey. He has back gloves on the white jersey. It is obvious what happened. And wasn't a huge tug? No. Was there a tug? Yes, by the right hand. And that's before the ball's placed, defensive holding. Now, were they calling any other holding calls throughout the game? No. Are the refs perfect? By no means whatsoever. They let a lot of things go on in that game that shouldn't have been called. They didn't call it. They called a few plays here and there. Some of them pretty obvious, like delay games and offsides and false starts. But they pretty much allowed the holding to go on, allowed the pass interference to go on, allowed the hand fighting to go on, the taunting that was going on. But, and I see where people come from in that aspect. If you're going to call that on that play, you should call it on every single other ones that were out there. And I'm sure there was. So, with that being said, did that cost the Eagles the game? No. There were other opportunities the Eagles had to put points on the board. You got to think the two possession they kicked field goals. And they could have went for, they missed out on touchdowns. Could have been better at trying to stop McKinnon when he bounced outside and slid to like the 2-yard line. Absolutely. Because they were like, okay, we'll just let him score. Almost all NFL players know exactly what to do. Get on the ground. Give yourself up. Make sure you don't cross that goal line. Make sure you don't go out of bounds. Sometimes it's a very hard thing to do. And players still end up going in there and they're not meaning to. But that's just, you're looking at trying to do that to ensure that, you set it up. And then the Chiefs played it right. They were like, okay, we'll just kind of milk it, take a knee, a delayed knee, and get the game winner. Now, did the Eagles have a chance to win at the end? Yes and no. It's like 6 seconds left on the clock. What is he going to do? Not much. I mean, the Chiefs went full prevent defense. They only had 2 defensive linemen going up to even attempt to rush. After a while, they got tired of waiting, so they went in there, and Hail Mary went in the dirt. I mean, this is still a phenomenal game all around. I mean, I did call for Mahomes to march down the field and set up a game-winning field goal. Now, I was off by the point, which is the second most combined total in NFL history. So you throw that one in there. If the Eagles would have won, Jalen Hurts would have been the Super Bowl MVP, no doubt. I mean, he could have been the Super Bowl MVP anyways because of what he did himself. I mean, single-handedly, this man had 4 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. All by himself. I mean, it was a phenomenal display of offensive prowess by the Eagles. But in that second half, the Chiefs had every possession they had, they scored. And I think that's the major takeaway. The Eagles' defense came alive in that second half. Them having 2 sacks on Jalen Hurts. Philadelphia was the leading sack team in the NFL, and they had 0. Now, do I think these teams will face off again? More likely they could. I mean, they really could. I mean, I think Philadelphia is bound to win Super Bowl within 5 years. With the contract Jalen Hurts has right now and Devontae Smith, and they have a nice young core talent. Depends if they keep that offensive line together. Kelsey's kind of talented, flirted with the idea of not going or not staying in Philadelphia, but I think he might stay there because there's things there. As long as the defense can stay healthy, because they got to fix that run defense. Pacquiao and McKinnon definitely had some nice open lanes. I mean, that's just great offensive play calling by the Chiefs. But Philadelphia definitely needs to work on that aspect. Probably get some good linebackers, some defensive linemen. Probably looking to get offensive linemen in the draft, but that's a different story. But I definitely think Philadelphia will win it very soon. Everything's in place for them. It is. Now for the Chiefs, I mean, technically they're in kind of a dynasty, if you want to say that. I mean, 5 AFC conference championship title appearances, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowls. This is a modern-day dynasty, I would say. Do I think the Chiefs can make it back again next year? Yes, I do. I think the road's a lot difficult due to who's in the NFC. I've said it right now, I think the Chiefs window is closing just because they're not going to be able to keep Travis Kelce on that team much longer either. They have to keep players there that seems to be cast-offs. Pretty much what New England did for all those years is they had pretty much the star in Tom Brady and is built around him with like-minded individuals at a cheaper price. And I think that's what's Kansas City is going to end up being, is trying to create teams that are similar in style to what the head coach wants. And right now that's Andy Reid. As long as the Chiefs want him, he'll come back. He's already stated that. It's like they want me here, I'm here. Maybe they let maybe Reid steps down, let Bellamy take over. I mean, that's another possibility. Then Nagy can move up to the OC. But I think with the Chiefs, I think their window is tightening. I mean, you have Cincinnati, the team that's been a thorn in their side the past couple of years. They shed that monkey off their back. Buffalo. If Vaughn Miller was actually playing, but that game changed differently. You used to have the Chargers, who has the talent, but hasn't quite find ways to put it all together. Miami is on the rise. Denver has talent. Now they have a head coach that could point this team in the right direction. Baltimore, all depends what they do with Lamar Jackson, really. Cleveland, on paper they look good, but can they put it together on the field? Tennessee's had tendencies to be pretty good. Jacksonville is another one that's on the rise with a young quarterback there. So there are a lot of teams out there that could upset the apple cart for the Chiefs later on. So I think the Chiefs making it back there it's a tougher road. Not impossible, just tougher. And for Philadelphia, I mean, they got their in-division rival, Dallas. So they'll be battling 1-2 for a division title next year. Minnesota depends on how they keep Kirk Cousins. San Francisco depends who the quarterback is. Seattle looked pretty good. The Rams had an off year last year with injuries. Maybe they come back fighting. Arizona, who knows how that team's going to turn out. Same thing with Chicago. There are a lot of holes in there. They got to be fixed. Green Bay, question mark with Aaron Rodgers. Detroit's on the up. The Giants had a good season. But if you look at the NFC, it's more of, it's Dallas, it's Philly, San Fran. You could probably throw in LA and Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Without Aaron Rodgers, probably more Minnesota or Detroit. I would love to see Chicago up there. But that's besides the point. And it was like I said, I think Philadelphia has more of a shot to getting back there sooner than the Chiefs do, just because of what looks like could be a more loaded AFC, a little bit more dangerous path. But like I said, not impossible, just a little bit more filled with hidden dangers and traps for all you D&D fans out there. And let's talk about, once again, Patrick Mahomes. Super Bowl MVP once again. He was also the league MVP. Last time the league MVP won the Super Bowl was in 1999, and Kurt Warner and the Greatest Show on Turf. And I think with this aspect, this puts him ahead of Aaron Rodgers in terms of the pecking order. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has all those great years, all those great stats. I mean, he definitely had those 2 years where 3 years he did not play because behind Brett Favre. And he does things that makes you scratch your head, especially his ownership of Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota over the years. So I look at this, and I think Mahomes is definitely up there. Only a handful of quarterbacks have had multiple Super Bowl championships. You look at Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, John Elway, Tom Brady, of course. I mean, the list is small of those who've had multiple championships. And there's a reason for that. Winning the Super Bowl is one of the toughest things out there. No, not to mention you have a grueling schedule to get to the playoffs, and you go through the playoffs before you make a chance at Super Bowl. You never know who's going to end up winning. I mean, you had the New England team that went, and they're undefeated, and the Giants went. I don't think so. I mean, Eli and Peyton both had 2 Super Bowls, so it is a very exclusive club that Patrick Mahomes is part of. I think this further cements his first ballot Hall of Fame status once he retires, which is going to be many, 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 many years down the road. He's going to have an off season to finally rest that ankle. That way he doesn't have to do anything else. And you'll kind of see what they do in the off season, how many players leave, who they replace them with. I mean, the roster they got in there is a who's who of who. Juju Smith-Schuster, the outcast of the Steelers. Then you got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Kadarius Toney, they got from Buffalo. Sky Moore, Noah Gray, Jerry McKinnon. And then Isaiah Pacquiao, who had a horrendous hit he took right to the chest. I'm like, oh, here we go again. No, but Was that the case? But, did I pick these two teams to be in here? No, I did not. Um, no. I had Buffalo over San Francisco. At least Buffalo and San Francisco made the playoffs, so I'm happy with that aspect. I didn't think Kansas City would win the division, so I was absolutely wrong by the Chiefs. I knew Philadelphia would have a decent season just because I saw what was getting placed around him and the fact that no one's won back-to-back NFC East titles in a while. It's been like over 20 years now since someone's won back-to-back division titles. So I knew Dallas was going to repeat, and I have to figure Philadelphia was the better option in that aspect. I had better aspects for the Steelers. I thought they could actually sneak out with the division because of Kenny Pickett. They turned some heads on that one. I had the Chargers in the playoffs. I had a better aspect for them, but we'll see now that they have the Cowboys' former OC, which I think it's a bad call for them. But maybe his style of offense works better with Justin Herbert, than it did with Dak Prescott. But there's a few teams out there I didn't see them being that good, and other teams that I thought would be better that were not. I mean, that's typical. You look at preseason, you're like, okay, this is who I think is going to go where, and you're right or wrong. I mean, you can't get them all right. For those that picked Kansas City to win it all in the preseason, congratulations. You're geniuses. I am not. Never claimed to be. But, it is what it is, and this is where we're sitting at. So, this was a phenomenal Super Bowl. I loved everything about that. Like I said, tail two halves. Philly dominated the first half, kept Patrick Mahomes off the field. Second half, Chiefs defense stepped up, corralled the Eagles offense, allowed Patrick Mahomes to do more damage, and he took advantage of it, leading the Chiefs to a second Super Bowl in 4 years, winning 38-35, lifting, I think, the Chiefs into a dynasty caliber type of conversation. And now people are going to compare him to Tom Brady, and they don't need to. But hey, that's all I got for you today. Just let me know down below what you thought about the Super Bowl. Do you think other things could have changed, different aspects? Let me know down in the comments below. Where you're down there, you can share this video with friends and family. It helps promote this channel out. You also hit that thumbs up once again. Once you subscribe, make sure you click the bell icon and turn on notifications. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.